up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for August 23rd, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a feel-good Friday edition of the podcast. Although after that game last night, I'm not feeling very good, and we might as well jump right into it. And 3-2 loss, and it's a shame because the pitchers did not do that bad. I mean, the relievers came in, looked good. Christopher Sanchez struggled a little bit early. Still looked good, but the offense was just missing. And I feel like if this was the 80s and 90s, and for some of you, you might not even know what this means. We used to get milk in a carton, and they used to put missing people on the back of the carton. I feel like Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, and Trae Turner need to be on the back of the milk carton right now because they are nowhere to be found. Although they are playing good defense. Trae Turner and Bryson Stott played very well defensively yesterday, but man, like I just don't know. Brandon Marsh, I think, is broken. I don't know what's wrong with him. Are they tired? I saw a lot of people on Twitter yesterday talking about, I forget exactly. It was one of the hosts of one on one of the stations. We're talking about how they might be tired from 2 deep runs, and now they played so well to start the season because they were so pumped up. I don't know. I know it happens sometimes in basketball. Sometimes in the NFL, but if they are, I don't know. What do you think? Are they tired? I think that's an easy excuse, but they're just, it's very undisciplined what they're doing. I feel as though they look like some of the kids on my son's coach pitch team. They're just swinging at every pitch no matter where it is. And I guess when you're first learning out in coach pitch, you say, just swing at every pitch and make contact. But these guys aren't even making contact. And then it comes down to, is that on the pitching or the hitting coach? Is that Kevin Long? And then the other question is, what the hell does a hitting coach do at a Major League Baseball level? Do they need a hitting coach? And I just don't know. And part of me is like, they need to do something drastic, so maybe firing the hitting coach will wake them up. But that didn't, and I know it's a different sport, but that didn't work for the Eagles when they changed coordinators last year. So I am at a complete loss as to what is wrong with this team, why they can't hit. Somehow, some way, they're still at a 6-game lead. They're still maintaining that second place or second seed in the NL. But I just don't get, you get 3 hits yesterday. 3 hits, and they didn't hit the ball particularly hard. They're just up there swinging, and Schellenbach looked like Nolan Ryan out there. Like, I just don't get it. But they still have 4 more coming up against the Braves, so there's still some things they can do. But I am not feeling good about this team, and I don't know if part of that is it's baseball or PTSD from the Eagles or what. But man, like, that was just a brutal game to watch, to be honest. I know there's some people out there that'll be like, oh, well, it's a pitching duel and that's old school baseball, but I don't know. I mean, they're just not hitting. It could be a tough weekend series out here in Kansas City too. Taijuan Walker's on the mound tonight. And I shouldn't even be like that because Taijuan Walker has not been terrible. They just have not got him many run support in his past couple starts since he's been back. Ranger will be back tomorrow. Hopefully Austin Hayes comes back. Maybe he provides the spark. I just don't know. And they need to figure it out. And I am not confident at this point they're going to figure it out. But they need to be on the back of the milk carton. I mean, that's all I have to say. They still have a 6-game lead. There's like 30-some games left. I don't even know. It might be too late in the season to fire Kevin Long, but something. Like, maybe bring Charlie Manuel back as a special guest instructor. I just don't get it. But this is where we are. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok, at Philly Jimbo on Instagram. Follow the YouTube channel, subscribe, Jimbo_Mont, trying to get some things lined up. It's been a busy couple weeks here with back to school and everything. But in September, I'm still toying around with doing something on YouTube. So the best way to stay in the loop is to subscribe. I mentioned yesterday that the John Kruk watch party has been postponed due to a family emergency that John has to take care of in West Virginia. Ryan over at Philly Goat said they're going to try to reschedule something for in September, but prayers, thoughts, positive vibes going out to John Kruk as he's dealing with what he has to deal with. And I know I saw on his Twitter post, one of his Twitter posts, he just said cancer sucks, so I get it. But sending prayers out to John Kruk and his family. But you can still go to Philly Goat, though, and do your... and sorry, that was not about John Kruk. That was about the Phillies. It's just, it's frustrating. It's absolutely frustrating. And where the Eagles last year, I think the comparison was you were pissed off about the Eagles, like because you just knew and what was wrong. And here, like I can't pinpoint it. It's just like they completely forgot how to hit and not confident at all. Not feeling good on a Feel Good Friday, but we got some things coming up here in a minute that hopefully will get you feeling good. You can still get your back to school shopping done at Philly Goat. Get the hoodies. They got all their Eagles stuff is out. A couple new Eagles shirts. You can get some Phillies stuff. Hopefully they can turn it around. Because I feel like one of three things is going to happen with this team. They're just going to continue the slide, end up in a wild card, and if they get to wild card, to be honest, because the Padres and Diamondbacks are right there with them, so they might have to go on the road. So hopefully they don't continue this slide and end up in a wild card. Maybe they turn it on. This is typically how they played at the end of each of the last two seasons in the World Series and the NLCS. Maybe they're getting it out of the way now, and somehow they can get hot here in September and roll through the playoffs. And then the other option is they just flounder and get bounced out in the first round. But all right, enough about the Phillies. But go to Philly Goat, get your back-to-school shopping done. They got hoodies, T-shirts, hats, stickers for your kids' water bottles, and use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com, promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off. And then be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. They're gearing up for football next week. They're doing a great job with baseball. And as has been the MO, I'm doing a guest spot with them next week. And when I did the guest spot with them during football, it was when the Eagles were in the middle of their slide. So I'm going to go on, talk a little baseball while they're in the middle of the slide. I'll get the details out to you once that is confirmed. But be sure to check them out. That's available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. Doing a great job over there, and I will be on with them soon. All right, so now some positives on a Feel Good Friday. And if you're not feeling good about the Eagles offense, you need to check your pulse. We have our number 3 receiver, as we talked a couple weeks ago about whether or not this guy was on the roster. He, in fact, was not. Jahan Dotson is an Eagle. Howie making Howie moves. Being Howie traded Dotson in a 5th round, or got Dotson and a 5th round pick in exchange for a 3rd and 2 7ths. It's rare that a team this close to the start of the season makes a trade within the division. But that's what Washington did. I feel with the new regime down there, they were kind of done with Dotson. Maybe Howie might have overpaid for him. But I like this move because by trading for him, you still get the contract. He's under team control for this year, next year. And I think there's a club option for the 3rd year. So you could legitimately have him for 3 years. I love this. This dude is fast. And I don't think there's a better top 3 receiving core in the league because you got AJ, Devontae, and now Dotson. I love this. This is a huge, huge good get for Howie. And even if he's not necessarily what we think he's going to be, the fact of the matter is he's an upgrade over Paris Campbell. He's an upgrade over Johnny Wilson, who could be good. He's an upgrade over John Ross, and now you have a legitimate threat. And I saw some NFL people saying that the Eagles were going to be tough anyway with Brown and Devontae because of the matchups. And now you throw Dotson in there with Goddard and Saquon, and the way that Jalen's been playing, I am looking forward to this offense. And I think, like I said, this is a huge get for Howie. And Penn State guy, for those of you who are Penn State fans, which I am not. However, I mean, I saw him play because Penn State's on a lot. I'm a Big Ten guy with being Michigan, so I've seen him play in college. He's good. He torched the Eagles last year. So good, like I said, good local guy too from Nazareth. They're going to be partying up in the LV this weekend if they're not still partying now. I know a few of you out there are from the LV. Your boy is coming home to the Eagles. The Eagles got their third receiver, and as we kind of predicted last week, he was not on the roster. I also don't think Howie's done yet. Do not think he's done. I think he could be in the market for maybe some safety help. I definitely would not mind him going out and possibly getting some offensive line depth because, truthfully, that has been the strength. I don't want to get too much into it because that's one of the questions in the next coming days. But that's usually been a strength of our team, and you can only say in Stoutland we trust so much. So let's see what Howie has up his sleeve. But Howie doesn't sleep. It's always Howie season, even when it's not Howie season. So Jahan Dotson coming home. I like it. And I know it's Jahan, but I like Jahan because why not? Like Jahan. But Nazareth's own coming home. So party on, Nazareth and the Lehigh Valley. All right, today we're going back to 2009. I'm going to dedicate this one to my brother, who one of his all-time favorite players. And Eric Bruntlett had himself a day on this day, and probably his greatest day as a professional baseball player. Phillies beat the Mets 9-7 up in Citi Field, and this was a wild one. Phil scored 6 runs in the first inning, and Pedro Martinez was on the mound. And then promptly, first batter was Angel Pagan, who hit an inside-the-park home run off of Pedro. Jason Worth, Carlos Ruiz each hit 3-run homers. The Mets, though, battled back in this game against Pedro, who actually Pedro did settle down. It was more the bullpen. And if you remember in 2009, the bullpen kind of fell off to a certain point during the season. They battled back. It was 9-6 going into the bottom of the ninth. Ryan Howard and Eric Bruntlett both had errors in the ninth. There was the one negative mark on Bruntlett, but he made up for it. We'll make up for it we'll get more into that in a minute. Mets scored. Then they had the bases loaded with no outs versus Brad Lidge, who had a horrible 2009 after being perfect in 2008. Jeff Francoeur stepped up, hit a 2-2 pitch that was lined up the middle, who the Mets, for some reason, did a double steal with the bases loaded, and they had a guy on third. So I don't understand, but the Mets are going to Met. And because of the double steal, Bruntlett was already moving toward the base, caught Francoeur's line drive, stepped on second, tagged out Daniel Murphy, who was one of the guys on the double steal, even though there was a guy on third. I don't understand the thought process. But Eric Bruntlett had the walk-off, unassisted triple play to save the game against the Mets. He also had 3 hits at the plate. That's why I said it's probably his best day ever as a Major League Baseball player. And this one goes out to my brother Kyle, who is a huge Eric Bruntlett fan. And in case you don't know, the sarcasm is deep right there. But back to the triple play. It was the second triple play in Phillies history. The other one occurred unassisted triple play in Phillies history. The other one occurred in 1992 when Mickey Morandini did it. It was only the second, and to this day, there's only been 2 walk-off triple plays to end the game. The other happened way back in 1927 when the Detroit Tigers did it. It was the last, or it still is the last unassisted triple play in Major League Baseball. It's only happened 15 times, and we all know that the last triple play, though, in Phillies history happened earlier this year out in Detroit, the good old 1-3-5 double play. But on this day, back in 2009, Phillies beat the Mets 9-7. Eric Bruntlett had himself a day, 3 hits at the plate, almost had a 4th, and then ended the game with an unassisted triple play, all for my brother, who is a huge Eric Bruntlett fan. And that happened in 2009. All right. Our 20 questions in 20 days about the Philadelphia Eagles continues on. Yesterday we talked about Jordan Davis, and I asked you, is he ready for a breakout season or a bust season? 89% of you think he's ready for a breakout season. I tend to agree. Saying the right things. He looks good. And I do still think, though, he has probably the most pressure on him of anyone on that defense. Because up front, it all starts with him. And if he has a solid season, today's focus, he's going to have a monster season. And today, it's Jalen Carter, who is poised to be a star. Last year, he was the Rookie of the Year runner-up. Overcame some of the legal issues and questions about his past at the beginning of the season. Hit the rookie wall. There were questions about his conditioning. He admitted he just kind of struggled down the stretch. Has vowed that it's not going to happen again. Has come into camp very much in shape. Had 6 sacks last year. And I think he's he's going to get 10 easily. He could get 12 to 15 sacks, I think, this year. He so far has been the MVP of camp on the defensive side. Everybody is saying and talking about just how good he is. He looks quicker. He looks stronger, if that's even possible. And if Jordan Davis has that year that we think he's going to have, it should create a lot of space for Jalen Carter to be a disruptor and get a lot of things done on that defense. Lots of Jerome Brown comparisons. And for a lot of you out there who are around my age and actually saw Jerome Brown play, that is lofty. Very, very lofty. But I could see it. I absolutely can see it because I think he might be quicker. I don't know if he's stronger, but he certainly is quicker and has more of an arsenal on pass rush moves. I know everybody thinks he's going to come in with just the Reggie White bull rush, but he does have some quickness and quick moves. He is still getting mentored by Fletcher Cox, which is huge. This guy is probably a Hall of Famer, and to have his name in your cell phone to be like, hey, Fletch, did you watch the game? What do you think? I think that's awesome. I think this dude has a legitimate shot to be a star. And I think he's one of these guys that we talked about who's going to step up as the leader with Fletcher and Jason Kelce not being there. I think on the defense, Jalen Carter has a shot to be that guy. And he's going to have to do it on the field, absolutely. But he has all the tools. He has the makeup for it. I think this dude is poised to just take the league by storm this year. It's all about his conditioning, but I think he learned from last year, as most rookies do. He came into camp, acknowledged it, didn't shy away from any of it. He was just like, yeah, I was out of shape. I could have done better. I'm not going to let it happen again. Vic Fangio loves him, and Vic Fangio is not the kind of guy to just shower praise on dudes. But in a Vic Fangio way, he said that he's going to be kind of the focal point of the defensive front, which as well he should be. And I think it's going to be crucial to the defense's success. I think he can still have a big year if Jordan Davis doesn't. But if Jordan Davis has a breakout year, the sky is the limit for Jalen Carter. So my question to you, is Jalen Carter a star in the making? Am I too high on him? I think he was a steal in the draft. He certainly was projected to be a number 1 pick if it wasn't for some of the legal things that occurred when he was at Georgia. So I think this dude is going to be just a stud. But what do you think? 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. Is Jalen Carter a star in the making? Let me know your thoughts. Get anything else Philly sports related. I mean, at this point, is there anything else left to vent about the Phillies? I mean, we're just watching them collapse in real time. It's like a car crash. You can't take your eyes off of it. You know what's going to happen, but here we are. Feel free to get that off your chest as well. But the question of the day, is Jalen Carter a star in the making? I say absolutely. I was very shocked that the Eagles were even able to get him when they did. I think this dude, I'm very high on Jalen Carter. But let me know what you think. 267-495-8531 will get you in. On this day in 2009, my brother Kyle's favorite all-time player, Eric Bruntlett, had the unassisted triple play to end the game against the Mets. The walk-off triple play, basically because the Mets are going to Met. And then he added 3 hits at the plate. Chooch and Jason Worth each hit 3-run homers as the Phillies beat the Mets 9-7 up at Citi Field. Let me know your thoughts on Jahan Dotson, LV's finest. I don't know. I'm just, this Brazil game cannot come soon enough. Like, I want to see it on the field. They play tomorrow. I'm taking my son down. I'll probably stay for a half. Nobody's playing, but get me to Brazil. This is going to be absolutely just, I mean, you know how I am. Sometimes I'm very homer with my picks. I think you take the Eagles over 10.5 wins. If you can still get 10.5 wins, I think that is the lock of the season. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that line either moved and it's very expensive, or they moved it up to 11 or 11.5 after this. Because who's going to stop this offense? I mean, these guys are so fast too that even if the line struggles, man, you can let me know that on the voice and text line too. Am I too high on the Eagles? Another quick housekeeping note, and I apologize if the sound, and if you see me keep looking over, the sound is still not right. I have this issue for a couple days after I come back from being on the road, and it's just, I don't feel like the volume is, I feel like I'm screaming and probably waking everybody up in my house, but I feel like the volume is just not recording at a high level. So I apologize. I will continue to work on that. But this has been This Day in Philly Sports History for August 23rd, 2024. I'm Jim Montgomery. Have yourselves a feel-good Friday. Let's go, Phils. Let's get it turned around in Kansas City. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.